The Pandas library is a popular Python package for data analysis. An important part of this process is to organize, aggregate, and gain insights from datasets efficiently. In this video, we will explore the features, applications, and examples of groupby, pivot table, and crosstab functions. The powerful tools for analysis and manipulation techniques using Python's Pandas library.
Welcome to Data Science Cheat Sheets channel, transforming lines into limitless creations.
Groupby function is a versatile method for splitting a Pandas data frame into groups based on one or more keys, applying functions to each group independently, and combining the results into a new data frame.
The general scheme of applying groupby method is the following. The first column is the column you want to group by. The second column is the column you will perform an aggregate function on. Lastly, you have the aggregate function, about which we will talk later in this video. Here is the example. You can group multiple columns, and you can also perform statistical computations on multiple columns with the groupby function.
Now, let's have a look on few tricks you can do with groupby in Pandas.
Once the data is splitted into different categories, it might be interesting to know the number of groups. The number of rows in each group of groupby object can be easily obtained using the function size or count. But please note that the aggregate function count counts only non-null values from each column, whereas size simply returns the number of rows available in each group, irrespective of presence or absence of values. First and last functions return the first and last records after data is split into different groups. In order to extract a row at any other positions, you can use nth function. Nth function can be also used to the first and the last row. But please remember two important notes. Indexing in Python starts with 0. First function gives you first non-null value in each column, whereas nth0 returns the first row of the group, no matter what the values are. Same works with last function. Method getGroup is used to select or extract only one group from the groupby object. Another way to get the same result, but not using groupby.
The use of Pandas groupby is incomplete if we would not review how to aggregate the data. Let's explore.
There are a number of aggregate functions that can be used in combination with groupby method in order to receive total, minimum and maximum, median, average, number of items, and standard deviation. You can apply multiple aggregate functions on the same column using the aggregate function. The Pandas groupby method is giving even more flexibility. There is a way to get the basic statistical summary split by each group with a single function, describe.
In the real world, you will usually work with large amounts of data and need to do similar operations over different groups of data. Pandas groupby is quite flexible and handy in all those scenarios. Pivot table method. Before we dive deep into pivot table method, let's quickly review Pandas pivot function.
In Pandas, both pivot function and pivot table method are used for reshaping or transforming data, particularly for converting between long-form data structures. However, they have some key differences. Pivot function requires that the specified index, columns combination, be unique in the original data frame. Pivot function does not allow you to specify an aggregate function. In summary, if your data is already in a tidy format without duplicates, and you simply want to reshape it, you can use pivot function. If you need more flexibility, especially when dealing with duplicate entries or missing values, or if you need to aggregate data, then pivot table method is the better choice.
Pivot table has three main elements. Index specifies the row-level grouping. Column specifies the column-level grouping. Values are the numerical values you are looking to summarize. In the pivot table method, we specify the data frame we are summarizing, and then the column names for values, index, and columns. Additionally, we specify the type of calculation we want to use. By default, the pivot table method displays the mean value. However, we can pass the name of aggregated function into the code line. Pivot table can be multi-level. We can use multiple indexes and column-level groupings to create more powerful summaries of a dataset.
As we have seen, the aggregation function argument in the pivot table method can take in one or more standard calculations. Here are the aggregations that work with pivot table: mean, median, mode, sum, count, max, min, standard deviation, variance, skewness, kurtosis. Pandas pivot table method can be used in conjunction with the Pandas plotting functionality to create useful data visualizations. Margins and margins name argument passed into pivot table method will add totals to columns and rows and its specified name. The pivot table method is incredible for quickly summarizing and drawing conclusions from data set by simply restructuring the data in new ways.
All the code lines with the relevant examples and graphics featured in this video are available in Jupyter Notebook down below in the description.
One of the most useful tools in Pandas for analyzing tabular data is the cross-tabulation function. This function allows to compute a frequency table of two or more variables, which summarizes the distribution of values in the data and provides insights into the relationships between the variables. Cross-tabulation is an important tool for analyzing two categorical variables in a data set. It provides a tabular summary of the frequency distribution of two variables, allowing us to see the relationship between them and identify any patterns or trends.
Before we dive into cross-tabulation function, let's first understand what a frequency table is.
A frequency table is a table that shows the distribution of values, is a data set by counting the number of occurrences of each value. A frequency table can be presented in various formats, such as a contingency table, a cross-tabulation table, or a pivot table, depending on the data and the analysis goals. In Pandas, the cross-tabulation function provides a simple and flexible way to compute frequency tables of two or more variables. Unlike pivot table, cross-tabulation function has two main elements: index, columns. Value parameter is an optional and specifies the value to be aggregated in the frequency table. Unlike pivot table method, the cross-tabulation function allows us to understand the percentage of time each combination occurs. This can be accomplished using the normalize parameter. The normalize parameter is even smarter because it allows us to perform the summary on just the columns or rows. We can do the same thing row-wise. Finally, you can use cross-tabulation function to create visualization of the data. In this example, we will bring all together by showing how the output of the cross-tabulation can be passed to a seaborne heat map in order to visually summarize the data. The Pandas cross-tabulation function is a useful tool for summarizing data. The functionality overlaps with some of the other Pandas tools, but it occupies a useful place in your data analysis toolbox.
In summary, groupby, pivot table, and cross-tabulation are powerful tools in Pandas for data aggregation and analysis. While they serve similar purposes, they have distinct features and use cases. Use groupby for simple grouping and aggregation tasks, especially when you need flexibility in applying functions to groups. Use pivot table when you need to reshape data and perform multi-level aggregation, particularly for summarizing data across multiple dimensions. Use cross-tabulation for creating contingency tables and analyzing the relationships between categorical variables. By understanding the differences and strengths of each method, you can choose the most appropriate tool for your specific data analysis needs in Pandas. Whether you're summarizing data, reshaping it for analysis, or exploring relationships between variables, these tools empower you to handle complex data tasks efficiently and effectively.
Thanks for being a part of our journey today. If you enjoyed the content, hit that subscribe button. By subscribing, you not only show your support for the channel, but also ensure that you never miss out on the exciting content we have in store.